Hey everybody, Eve here. I'm going to do a second video on the cons to living tiny, which means we're going to be going deeper into the subject, and that's because I really don't believe that I did the subject as much justice as it truly deserves. There's a lot of people out there telling you that living tiny is good, and it is. Don't get me wrong, it is. But there's things you have to know in advance in order to do so with comfort and in safety. And I'm not sugarcoating it. I've been living tiny for 8 months now, actually a little bit longer. This is just, I've been living tiny in this particular 80 square foot dwelling. And yes, so I think I know a little bit. And I went through a very harsh sub-zero winter. And I think that kind of pre-qualifies me to help people with the realities of confronting issues dealing with severe weather when living tiny. Now, I can't tell you much about the summer because summer's approaching. I have an excellent air conditioner. I feel like the summer's going to be a breeze, but I may have to update you on that too. Please bear with me, peeps, because I do have a severe cold. If any of you watched my last video, I kind of informed you about that. So if I have to stop to blow my nose periodically, please forgive me. And we will continue with the cons to living tiny, going deeper into the subject. And to stay on point, I'm doing something I don't often do, is I'm actually referring to a list. Yes, sometimes I do that because I like to wing it because I love spontaneity in videos, and I love to watch people who are spontaneous. And some of my favorite YouTubers are very spontaneous and intelligent individuals. Well, that's them. That's not me. So I have to refer to the cheat sheets because that's who I be. So if you don't like being alone, and I touched on this a little bit in the last video, then you're not going to like living tiny. Okay? You don't have the accommodations. I have room at my table here for one other person. I can have somebody sit on this bed back here, maybe two if the second person's really tiny. But yes, as far as anyone sleeping in here, well, I imagine I could get a 10-year-old kid on the floor, but who wants to sleep like that? Yes, I do have a full-size bed. But because I have so many things on my bed, like blankets and pillows, because that's how I like to sleep, and a television set, really don't have room for a second person. So, and to be honest, I can't sleep with other people. That's just me. So, if you don't like being alone, you're not going to dig living tiny because you're not going to get a whole lot of guests. And, believe it or not, other than the novelty of it, younger people may think it's cool to come out and camp and hang and chill with you for a few days. And I do live on a farm, and it is pretty cool out here with the goats and the animals and everything. But to be honest with you, I don't get very many visitors. People, they're busy. People have their lives. We all have our lives. Living tiny doesn't change that. It just means your life is kind of magnified, certain aspects of it. So living tiny isn't all, unlike the glam mads portray, living tiny isn't all unicorns eating flowers and pooping rainbows. No. The glam mads, and that's not my term, by the way, but it's a popular term for the glamorous nomads that have taken over the tiny space movement on YouTube. And they ain't going to share all of the RV raw realities of RV living and tiny living because, they don't make money showing that side of it. They're going to show you just the glamorous aspects of it, because they're just too busy filling your heads with, all these gorgeous scenes and Instagram warm, fuzzy Instagram shots of, I don't know, sexy little girls in tiny little bikinis, all that fluff and TNA and Airbnb and Tijuana, Mexico nonsense, that's not it. You're going to have to deal with you in a tiny space. And if you had problems before going tiny, amplify all those things. You know, you have to learn in order to live tiny successfully, such as where you're going to park your tiny space. There's zoning issues pertaining to the same, depending upon what state and county you live in. You have daily problems regarding weather, drinking and bathing, water, heating, and air, whether you have adequate insulation to keep that tiny space free from heat, cold, condensation, mold, insects, yes, pests even, such as rats, mice, coyotes, bears, and maybe the further out west you go, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Yeah, I haven't dealt with that, but I'm dealing with rats and mice and ants, termites. Oops. Hold on, folks. My cheat sheet is giving me a hard time. What else is new? Okay, wood structures. Now, I live a predominantly steel and wood, combined wood, shake shingles, wood structures. And you'll have to struggle with termites, driller bees, wasps, hornets, carpenter ants, and ants in general. They're a daily reality and a plague to tiny living life, as well as the mice. I live on a farm also, and believe it or not, as much as I love the cats, I got to kind of keep them away from this dwelling because the male cats want to spray, and unless you want to smell like the south end of a north end of a southbound polecat, keep the cats away, keep the dogs away, keep the critters away, because you don't want a flea infestation. That's why I've decided not to have any pets inside. It's just, when you're just around so many animals, you just can't do it. You just can't do it. I mean, I get to enjoy the animals, but I'm not going to live with them anymore. My space is just too tiny. So, where are you going to store your food in that tiny space? Where are you going to cook? Where are you going to poo? I'll show you where I poo. I poo in that. It's very comfortable, and it's absolutely odorless. It's lined with sawdust. But I'm not going to cover that today. I'll cover that in the future. But that's where I go. It's nice. But I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I couldn't use that. I couldn't use that teeny tiny thing. Really? Why not? It's about the same height as a traditional toilet, maybe a couple inches shorter. I don't know. Works good for me. I'm 65 and I have no problems, and I'm so apologize for my running nose. So, where are you going to bathe? Yep, I sponge bath. And I also use other people's homes because I have lots of friends and family that have showers, and there's also workout gyms. There's tons of places to shower. But in the meantime, since I don't really do anything on most days that strenuous to get filthy or too stinky, I just, sponge bathe daily. And you can get the wet wipes. I have some under here. I just don't feel like digging them out. I should have been prepared. I know. Sometimes. Okay, hold on. So here we go, bathing. And then these are the major issues you have to ask yourselves, peeps, before you go tiny, live tiny. Not saying you shouldn't. Believe me, knowing what I know now, I'd still do it. I just would have done certain things a little differently and been a little better prepared. That's why I'm doing this video for you, so that you are better prepared than I was. Because, well, when you're not prepared, it's tough. There's a little struggle and a little suffering involved with, lack of preparation, if you will. And so, by my telling you and sharing with you some of the issues I confronted and had to deal with, hopefully you won't. Now, I'm not saying that you won't. I'm just giving you my situation. I live in a tiny house, but I'm connected to, electrical power. If you're going to be boondocking or, staying in RV parks or BLM land, national park lands, and then you might as well listen to somebody else. I'm parked. I'm parked, and these are my issues. Now, in the future, I may boondock. I may travel the United States. I'd like to. Really would like to. Maybe even go overseas. Love to go to Ireland. It's on my bucket list. But in the meantime, I'm parked. So I'm giving you the issues of being in a parked, tiny space and some of my issues having to do with shore power or electrical power being plugged in using two 15-amp extension cords, which is equivalent to 30 amps of power, but just on two separate extension cords. And maybe if you guys would like, I can cover that in a future video. So getting back to, and then personal safety. This is a big one for me. If you live alone, you've got to have some means of protection. And I'm not judging about what method. And I don't want you to judge me about what method, because I'm not telling you my method. Okay, I have a method. I have several methods. I have plan A, plan B, plan C. And then, well, plan D involves pearly gates in heaven. So let's face it, if plan A, B, and C don't work for me, plan D is, yeah, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. So just do some methods of self-protection work and some don't. I'll tell you the ones that don't, although I have it. Mace. If I open this door, my front door here, which is unlocked, and I'm going to open it, okay? And somebody comes at me, or, they've got a weapon, or they try to force their way into my home, my tiny space. And my mace is over here. My mace is over there. My other weapons of mass destruction are over there. So, number one, don't open the door until you know who's knocking on it. And here's another problem. If they're standing there and I got mace here, and I spray that mace, the wind is probably, we're all going to have to vacate. We're all going to become victims of my form of self-protection. I'm going to be a victim of my form of self-protection because that mace is going to hit him and it's also going to spray back on me. And it's going to be ugly, and there's not going to be anybody that will be able to dwell in this 80 square feet of, mace infested. And we're talking, your eyeballs are on fire, and your pores are crying. Every orifice in your body will be on fire, and you won't be able to breathe, and you'll be coughing and puking and choking to death, and it hurts, man. I've had some backlash from mace. It's not good. So that doesn't work. And then I've heard people talk about, wasp spray. That might be a little bit better. It's got a little bit more force, but I would actually step farther outside my unit to someone. But, I don't want to get close to the people that's trying to attack me. I don't know. It's probably a good idea to get a taser or something. Get one of them taser, dart shooting tasers like the police have, and it shoots the darts, and it actually has a rope on them. So after you shoot them, then you can pull them in. I would like that, pull them in. Hey, cowboy, yeah, London sheriff, yeah, I caught a wild one here. Come get him. He got a dart in his butt. That's okay. Yeah, just come get him. So anyway, you get the drift. So have some form of protection for your own personal safety, and you're going to need waste disposal methods. If you've got, I have a dry water system, which means all of my water comes in like this. It's in 1 gallon. It's distilled water. Only use pure water methods. Don't drink tap water. So distilled water, and I bring it in like that. And when I do my dishes, there's a bowl that I have inside of another bowl, And when I fill it with water, I do my dishes, and then I pick it up, and then I have these windows. I don't know if you can see the windows here. This one doesn't. I can open this one. It's got a screen in it, but this one on the other side, it doesn't have a screen in it, and I just take it and throw it. I throw it out the back window. It's just gray water. It's just soapy water. And I use soaps that are biodegradable and do not hurt the environment. And I recommend that you use, man, I'm getting out of breath because of this sickness, that you use products that are easy on the environment and earth friendly and what have you. Because I don't have any of my own grandchildren per se, but I have nieces and nephews, and I'd sure like for the world to stay nice for them. But anyway, getting your basic creature comforts met, living tiny is going to be something you have to consider every day. That's a roof over your head, food on the table, stable heating and cooling methods, restroom needs, bathing, storage of foods, and the ability to pay utilities and bills, gas, etc. So you need to save. You need to live within your means and have a backup savings of some sort. And remember, that's your priority. The number one priority is having a roof over your head. You got to have food on the table. You got to have your utilities met. You got to be able to have enough heat to adequately warm your body and enough air to adequately cool your body. If you're not comfortable, you're going to be miserable living in a tiny space like this. It's just a fact. Like right now, I'm super comfortable. I got the air on. It's perfect temperature. I'm not too hot. I'm not too cold. Now, a couple of times this winter when it was sub-zero, I had to struggle to stay warm. That's okay. It's over. I made it. And now everything's all right. So you're going to need to have some kind of emergency funds because emergencies will happen. If you're actually traveling or out on the road, it's just like your car. You know your car is going to break down eventually. So if you're traveling in an RV, a camper, a tiny home, or even this, the horse trailer, if I decided to travel around the United States with this, oh yeah, I'm going to have tire issues, and there's just going to be mechanical issues and failures, and so you have to plan for things like that, and you've got to save for things like that, because if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail, and that's just a fact. And your family probably will not help you because they already think you're nuts. Okay, they already think you're nuts. I know mine all thinks I'm crazy, and then that's okay. It's okay. Why? Because a lack of funds will prevent most problems. And when you have money is a great bargaining tool. Seriously. It doesn't buy you happiness, but it does purchase comfort, and it does purchase a life of ease. We all know this. That's why people kill people for it, because it makes your life comfortable, and it gives you a life of ease. You can buy anything, go anywhere, do anything if you have enough money. Excuse me. Trust me. It won't buy you happiness. It will buy you ease and comfort. So without some form of steady stream income to meet all of the creature comforts that we just talked about above, food, overhead, roof overhead, food, utilities, creature comforts, warmth, air, what have you, then you'll be homeless and destitute in no time, living in a tent or out of your car. And I know you don't want to do that, because I don't want to do that. And here's another one. When you get sick. Yep, and you will get sick. Look at me. I'm living proof of it. This is the second time in 6 months. All of the topics covered above are going to be more difficult to deal with. I have to truck in my water every day. I have to because I can keep water in my car, but I still have to get out of this buggy to walk over to my car to get my extra water. I have enough room in here to store 16 to 20 gallons of water for the week? No. I can keep about 2 gallons in here tops with all the other stuff I've got. Well, I imagine I could get more in here, but why would I want to? I don't want to be falling over, gallon water bottles. Some people might do that, but I'm not one of them. So the one thing you can count on is you won't be prepared for a lot of things, many things. And the things you definitely have no control over, and I'm going to go over some of these. Now, this is by no means a comprehensive or all-inclusive list, but this is just some of the vital things that I consider to be of most importance that have most affected me since I've been living tiny. Is lack of Wi-Fi reception. Now, you can talk to your wireless cell carrier. I use Verizon, and I use my phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot, and I can connect up to 10, different phones and iPads and laptops and desktops and things of that nature. So, power my TV, my friends' cells, and quality is definitely contingent upon how close you are to the cell phone towers. I heard I'm about 2 miles away from Verizon towers here, so mine's pretty good, but is it perfect? No. It's not blazing like when I had Spectrum in Florida. No. You don't have any control over the weather. You don't have any control over breakdowns, auto or physical, mental, health, and the lack of human support. Believe me, you're on your own, peeps. Now, some of you might have really good friends that are going to be there for you pinch. The older you get, you start losing those because they all die. So, and I can't possibly cover every scenario here. So, but those that I consider to be these are some of what I consider to be the most important things. So, and we'll go over them again. So, living tiny is definitely more when you have the funds to cover your basic creature comforts, such as a roof over your head, food on the table, utilities such as gas, credit cards, air and heat to stay comfortable and healthy, emergency funds, and for when the emergency comes, because it will. And failing to plan to live tiny and confronting the realities of the many challenges that are inherent to tiny living is planning to fail. So hang in there.